to lay more foundation, that's certainly your choice.
So you are aware that the medical examiner's office did conduct an autopsy?
I am, yes.
Okay. And did you receive a report from the medical examiner's office?
I did, yes.
Okay. Detailing the autopsy that was performed?
Yes. Prior to receiving the report, myself and Agent Davis visited with the doctor.
Okay. You visited personally with the doctor that conducted the autopsy?
That's correct.
Okay. And then subsequent to that, and did you discuss the autopsy with the doctor at that point in time when you were meeting with him personally?
Yes, Agent Davis and I had a fairly in-depth conversation, yes.
And where did that conversation take place?
At the medical examiner's office.
Okay. And do you recall the date and time that that personal visit took place?
I don't recall.
Okay. Was it within?
Soon, it was soon after, within a few days of the incident.
Of the autopsy?
Yes.
Okay. And subsequent to that visit, did you receive a report from that doctor that you visited with?
We did, yes.
Okay. And that's the Dr. Guajardo that you're struggling to pronounce his name. Is that fair to say?
I apologize, but yes, that's who it is.
And the report that was sent to you, do you recall when you received that report?
I don't recall the specific date.
Okay. Have you reviewed that report?
Yes.
Again, you stated earlier that this is not the first murder investigation that you've worked.
Correct.
Okay. I take it this is not the first medical examiner's report you've received.
Correct.
Okay. Do the reports typically look the same?
Yes, they're in a standard format that the medical examiner uses.
Okay. And this report that you received?
Yes.
From who you believe was the doctor you spoke to?
Yes. That
conducted the medical exam. Was there anything peculiar about that particular report that stood out to you?
No, it appeared to be a standard form as used by the medical examiner when they send us reports.
Okay. On your monitor, Exhibit 11, I'm going to have displayed what's been marked State's Exhibit number 11, Judge, for identification.
Right.
And I believe there's 9 pages. So let me know when you see that on your screen.
It's on the screen.
Okay. What I'd like you to do is just look at this as it scrolls down through the 9 pages and wait till we get to the very end. And if you need us to pause or stop or slow down, let us know. I want you to be able to look at all 9 pages. Did you get a look at that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you recognize what that is?
Yes.
What is that?
That's the medical examiner's report of examination for Mr. Kirk.
Yeah. Do you recall, you don't recall exactly when you received that?
I don't unfortunately remember the specific date when I received it.
Do you remember how you received it?
Then provided to us electronically.
Okay. Via email?
Sometimes via email, also on disk, compact disk.
Okay. And does there appear to be anything in the exhibit before you? Has that report changed at all? Or does it accurately depict what you received initially from the doctor?
It accurately depicts it.
Does the state would seek to admit Exhibit 11?
Ms. Nestor.
Your Honor, this is an expert report without the expert being present, being offered by an individual who's not an expert in this field. If they're presenting him as an expert in this field based on the limited questions about his experience in seeing previous medical exam records, I'd like to voir dire him on his qualifications to opine about it. This is hearsay. It's highly technical. It should be presented only through an expert. It could never come in trial in any other way. We submit that it is hearsay. And to the extent they're going to ask this individual about any opinions about it, that would be improper. He's not qualified to do that. And furthermore, we just think that this is clearly falling under our constitutional concerns about the absence of our ability to be effective, to cross-examine, to question we can't even question the expert's experience or CV or anything that we would normally do to determine if this should even be accepted or considered by the court. And so we strenuously object to its admission and for all those reasons to its publication as well. There's some really personal things in there that should never be published that deal with Mr. Kirk's medical condition. History is the condition of his body. It shouldn't be published, Your Honor.
Thank you. To the state.
Judge, this is clearly reliable hearsay admissible under Rule 1102 of the Utah Rules of Evidence. I would direct you specifically to subsection B5 for purposes of, and I'm quoting the rule, for purposes of criminal preliminary examinations only, reliable hearsay includes, and subsection 5 specifically states medical and autopsy reports and records. Again, that is supported by Article 1, Section 12 of the Utah Constitution, which states that reliable hearsay can be relied upon at preliminary examination in whole or in part.
And to the second part in regards to publication.
As far as the publication, Judge, we agree with Ms. Nestor. This is a document that does contain very sensitive information and information that Mr. Kirk's family would appreciate it not being published. And so although we seek to admit it, we'd ask that it not be published here in the courtroom or that it be published in any fashion or way that the public can see it by virtue of a camera.
Ms. Nestor.
Your Honor, I just want to point out that even though 1102 has a provision about exams, I mean, the court still has the overarching mission under 1102 to make this reliability finding, right? And it's just completely in a vacuum being offered by someone who's a police officer. So again, we would just argue that you're just not, it's hampering you from making the analysis you need to make to admit it, and we object to it.
All right. Anything further from the parties?
No, Your Honor.
No, sir.
All right. So again, relying upon the analysis, Utah Constitution, Article 1, Section 12, as it relates to reliable hearsay, and then turning to Utah Rules of Evidence, Rule 1102, B5, specifically notes medical and autopsy reports and records. The court is going to overrule the objection and admit State's Exhibit, I believe it's 11.
11, yes, sir.
Citing to Utah Constitution, Article 1, Section 28, dignity portion, respect and dignity. It will not be published either in the courtroom or viewable on media by the camera for the reasons previously stated as it relates to the video. And so the court will receive it, and it is admitted into evidence. And that concludes that portion. Mr. Sturgill, is this a good point to stop to take our 15-minute afternoon break?
I think it'd be a great idea, Judge. I've just got one last question.
All right.
With respect to the medical examiner's report. Agent Hull, in that report, does the doctor relate cause and manner of death?
He does, yes.
Okay. And in that report, what is the stated cause of death?
It was stated as a murder.
And manner of death?
It was a gunshot wound to the neck.
Okay.
I
Give me 1
object. It's
second.
not stated as a murder. I believe it's stated as a homicide, which is an important distinction.
Judge, I'll go back and correct that.
All right, so I'm going to sustain. Well, first of all, let me look at the report. I need to see that section. I need to be able to draw my own conclusion. Okay, I see. Ms. Nestor, are you referring to page 1 of this report?
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I Could you repeat that? I apologize.
As it relates to your objection for the misstatements, are you looking at page 1 of the report?
Yes.
All right. So
And, Your Honor, I also need to make an objection on the best evidence rule, too. Thank you.
all right. So I'm going to sustain the objection as it relates to the manner of death. It does not say murder, but in regards to the best evidence rule, again, under 1102 and the Utah Constitution that it permits reliable hearsay, it is State's Exhibit 11 is admitted. Mr. Sturgill.
Agent Hull, I'm going to ask you to look at the first page of Exhibit 11. No?
Yes.
You see
I
that?
Yes.
Okay. So let me ask you again, and you can look at it.
Yeah.
And would you mind relating what the doctor reports as the manner of death?
Yes, I misspoke. It does say homicide.
And then the immediate cause of death?
Gunshot wound of the neck.
Nothing further, Judge. Well, at this moment, I think it'd be a great idea that we take a 15-minute break.
Right. We'll go ahead and go on break. We'll come back at 3:25 and resume with this witness at that time. Court is in a brief recess.
Now, the man accused of killing Charlie Kirk is in a Utah courtroom as prosecutors present evidence against him. The hearing, a critical one for suspect Tyler Robinson, who's accused of fatally shooting the conservative activist last September.
This week, the judge will determine what evidence will be permissible in the trial, including a recorded statement by Robinson's former roommate, who is seen as a key witness. Some of Kirk's family members are attending today inside that courtroom. Those are his parents arriving earlier. His widow, Erica Kirk, also there.
Okay, I'm going to take you back to September 10th, 2025. You mentioned you were on campus. You had a particular assignment.
Mr. Granander, I'm sorry. We're just going to pull down the exhibits.
Okay.
Thank you. You may continue.
Would you like me to take this exhibit down, Judge?
Are you referring to it in your line of questioning right now?
Not right now, I'm not.
Okay, let's go ahead and take it down.
So you were securing the Hall of Flags walkway, correct?
Yes.
On the south end.
Yes.
What was happening that morning, that day at campus at UVU?
I came in to do a shift for a special event where we had a guest speaker come in and was going to talk to the students and people around the neighborhood.
Do you know who the guest speaker was?
I do.
And who was that?
It was Charlie Kirk.
Did you see Mr. Kirk that day?
I did.
When did you first see him?
When he arrived on campus, just behind the west side of the Hall of Flags, I saw him pull up.
And can someone access the courtyard through that area?
Yes, they can.
How so?
Where he pulled up underneath the Hall of Flags is a opening to where you could drive a car underneath. So there's access right there. You could walk or drive underneath the Hall of Flags.
And you saw him arrive?
Yes.
Okay. Can you describe what you were seeing? What did you observe?
On that day, I observed Charlie going back, doing some meet and greet with some people, getting some photos taken. He then came underneath the Hall of Flags and went to his tent, and he was there answering questions and talking to individuals that would ask him questions.
The tent you're referring to, is that the tent that we see when it was set up in the courtyard?
Yeah, that white square tent.
The white top?
Yes, he was under that.
Fast forward to about 12:20 or so a little bit after noon, the noon hour. What happened? What did you see? What did you hear?
I heard an individual talking to Charlie, and I happened to kind of glance over the edge of the railing about that time. I could see the right side of Charlie's shoulder, so not his whole body, because he was underneath the tent, so I could only see probably the right side of his body. He was answering a question, kid asking him a question, and then I heard a shot fired.
Do you know what time that was?
Yes.
What time was that?
12:23.
What did you see?
At that moment, I saw him leaned to the left. So
When you say him,
Charlie.
Charlie?
Kirk. So I saw him go to the left because I could no longer see the right side of his body. So he went further underneath the tent to the north side of the tent, so left.
Okay. Can you describe the reaction of others that were there?
Yeah, so then everybody started getting up and starting to run in more of a chaos kind of situation.
Before you continue, can you describe a little bit? So you mentioned Mr. Kirk was answering questions, talking to individuals.
Yes.
Were there others present?
Yes.
Any idea about approximately how many? How would you describe it in your terms?
In my terms, I'd say when I was up there looking down, I'd say there were several thousand people because you had it on the grass. It was jam-packed in the amphitheater sitting on the grass. You had people standing on the back up along the cement. You had people that were on the second level, the Sorensen, and over by the Woodbury building. There's another level there where a lot of people were standing and watching. So it was pretty packed, several thousand people.
You mentioned you heard something. What did you hear again?
I heard a gunshot.
Okay. And can you describe you described Mr. Kirk's reaction? Was that simultaneous to hearing the gunshot?
Yes, it was.
When he fell to the left?
Yes.
Did you see the reaction from the crowd?
Yes.
What was that?
Everybody kind of got up. They all said, a lot of people were screaming, standing up, and starting to run in all different directions away from the center of the tent.
Okay. You're a police officer helping to secure the area, correct?
Yes.
What did you do?
At that moment, I recognized it as gunfire. I left my post, which was right there on the south end of the Hall of Flags. I proceeded to right where the Fugle and the Hall of Flags meet. There's some outside stairs that I was starting to run down. As I was trying to get down to the bottom of the stairs, people were running up. People were laying down on the steps. I'm trying to jump over people to get to the bottom of the stairs so I can help stop an individual that's probably shooting.
What happened next?
By the time I got to the bottom of the stairs, I was informed on the radio that we had a shooter in custody. So I thought, at that moment, I was like, oh, that was kind of fast. Obviously, it was close range probably because we had an individual in custody. Another officer came on and said we had an individual in custody. So I decided to, since the threat is gone, now I can assess for anybody that's injured and start looking for any medical needs that's needed at that moment. I started canvassing the area. As I canvassed the area, I was looking for anybody that was injured. I saw a kid on the ground that was on about the second or third tier in the grass next to a wheelchair, and he was almost convulsing. I thought he'd maybe been shot. Talked to the dad as I was running over there. He said that he was just having a seizure, that he was fine, he was not injured. So then at that moment, I observed that there was no other injuries that I could see at that moment.
Okay. Was your attention drawn to anything else at that time?
Yeah, so after we got some people kind of cleared away a little bit, I thought I needed to start preserving the scene because we had a crime scene. And with some of my experience and training to that effect, I decided now we need to contain the scene and help preserve as much evidence as we can. So I started pushing people off the grass, out of the courtyard area because I knew that's where the crime scene was. So as we started pushing those guys out, my chief, Chief Long, that was right next to me, I looked down and saw an empty pistol holder that was sitting just on top of the grass. And at that moment, things had died down just a split second. I realized that the shot I heard was more of a rifle shot and not a pistol shot.
Our producer who is inside, she says that Donald Trump Jr. is inside that courtroom along with Erica Kirk, Charlie Kirk's parents, a few supporters with them, listening to, as you say, emotional testimony. Erica Kirk has been very emotional already. She's been seen crying. When one witness talked about just the sound of the gunshot, we're not even talking about how it looked, just the sound. This witness described the rifle shot being more violent than a pop you would get from a handgun. At this point, Erica Kirk had to leave the courtroom. So this, as you say, is a probable cause hearing. It's not a trial. It looks a bit like a trial in that there are witnesses and cross-examination, but it's not. It is the prosecution trying to say, we have probable cause, trying to persuade the judge to take this to a full trial. Scheduled to last all week. One of the key pieces of evidence that we believe the prosecution is going to put forward, guys, is a deposition, a taped deposition from Tyler Robinson's roommate/romantic partner. and that there was communications between Robinson and this partner after the shooting that the prosecutors basically say is tantamount to a confession. The roommate asked Tyler Robinson, it wasn't you that did it, right? And the reply from Robinson was, yeah, I'm sorry, it was me. Charlie Kirk was spreading too much hate.
If things move forward with this preliminary hearing as expected, how soon can we expect the trial to begin?
Well, that is unclear. This judge has been very methodical. Now, we expect he might give a ruling on Friday as to whether the trial will proceed, but judging by his previous performance, I would say that he might delay that. But that is his decision to make. All the evidence goes to him. It's presented to him. He decides, yep, we've got enough for a trial or no. So far, you see on the stand there, if you're still showing that picture, that is a man who was a Utah Valley University campus police officer on the day of the shooting, September 10th last year. And he described hearing this pop, this gunfire that I mentioned just before, this rifle pop. He said he could tell where it was coming from. He said after he heard that gunshot, he went down. He surveyed the scene to see if there's anybody injured who he could help. There wasn't. He then went to the roof where he believes the gunshot came from, and up there he found a screwdriver on that roof, which is part of the prosecution evidence. They say Tyler Robinson's DNA is on that and also on, for example, the rifle. Now, the defense will say there's a bunch of DNA on that rifle, and that is why probably they are calling 3 forensic evidence experts to testify at this preliminary hearing. So it's going to go on all week. It will be emotional. It's been emotional already. And, you know, you've got Donald Trump Jr. and Erica Kirk in there watching the prosecution try and prove probable cause, try and get to probable cause. And don't forget, the prosecution has said in this case, guys, that they will be seeking the death penalty against now 23-year-old Tyler Robinson.
Okay. Fascinating testimony. In the state of Utah, this evidentiary hearing takes the place of essentially a grand jury. So you're like sitting in almost like a grand jury that you can view and weigh and measure. And there's been some fascinating testimony already. We've got a couple of experts that when we have time here in Real America's Voice, we will get in. Jack Posobiec is in the courtroom. Can't step out. The courtroom's on a short break. It's supposed to commence in about 4 minutes, and we will go back, obviously, to our live wall-to-wall coverage of this. We think, as a channel, Real America's Voice, and of course the War Room, that it is very important for this audience to see it all. And to hear it all. And obviously it's generated a lot of interest so far because of Charlie Kirk was not only a great man and so important to our cause, but was a great American and was a role model for so many people throughout the world, particularly young people, that you got to get to the bottom of this. And so that is what this is today, an evidentiary hearing. The judge has been very, I think you can say that, methodical. They're going to go now, just for your own planning purposes, they're going to go, and I'll do this on East Coast time, they're going to go from 11 o'clock in the morning, of which we will give turn our coverage over to 11 o'clock in the morning until approximately 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time every evening. There'll be a lunch break around 2 p.m., ironically, when the Jack Posobiec show is supposed to go. And, of course, we got Kevin Posobiec out there. Jack's in the courtroom. We will then there's going to be at least, I think, one break in the afternoon. They're taking that break right now. We're going to go back, I think, in a few minutes to the courtroom and to continue to listen and hear and view whatever evidence that they feel that they're going to allow the public to actually see. So we're going to go to that. So much other breaking news today. The most important, it looks like a woman has come forward, I think a former girlfriend or former romantic partner or partner of, or at least somebody he dated, of the nominee. So really the nominee, because the governor dropped out or suspended her campaign in the Senate race, U.S. Senate race in the state of Maine, Platner, the former Marine, quite controversial. She said that against her consent, he forced himself upon her. There were pretty dramatic sexual allegations. He's put out a videotape that he was drunk and didn't know what he was doing. However, they have a deadline. I think by next Monday, the 13th, they have to declare that there could be somebody else come in the race, etc., and/or the governor renew her contest. Remember, Plattner right now, at least on the polling, is up 6 or 7 points. At least that's what certain polls saying. So this is the entire mainstream media, which CNN and MSNBC are not covering the trial. They kind of dip in and out. Where they have people out there covering, but they're not showing it so that you can watch it. And I think that's the only way to view it, is just to do this, just to hunker down and get into it to the entire day. Want to thank our sponsors because we're kind of holding them in abeyance for the next couple of days, particularly Birch Gold. Want to thank Birch Gold. They've got the special. It runs through the 10th, and that would be take your phone. I think the easiest thing to do is text Bannon, BANNON, 989898. You get direct access to Philip Patrick's team. Talk to them with a qualifying purchase. Right now, a qualifying purchase, you can get a free 1-ounce silver round. It's not a coin, but a round. That's to, I think, July 10th. So let's make sure we get on top of that, and that you can get that with a qualifying purchase. Talk to Philip Patrick and team. Also, allfamilypharmacy.com/Bannon. Make sure you go check it out, /Bannon. They have a buy one, get one free. That goes till July 7th, so let's get on top of that. I think I told you this morning it was the 10th. It's actually the 7th. So that is buy one, get one free. You get access to, licensed professionals, pharmacists, licensed medical professionals, to get you the prescriptions that you need when you need them. They get overnight in the mail. So make sure you check out the team, allfamilypharmacy.com/Bannon. Buy one, get one free. Very special 4th of July, 250th anniversary offer. And we want to make sure all America's Health Share. This is a very different way to think about your health insurance. And obviously, with this fiasco of Obamacare, there are many Americans can no longer afford or feel they can afford health insurance. Go to freedomforhealth.org/Bannon. That's freedomforhealth.org/Bannon. You get a free month if you sign up. This is one you're going to have to do a little due diligence, but I think you'll be quite surprised of the coverage you can get for the amount of money. Severely discounted for what healthcare is. So make sure that you go check it out, and check that out today. Like I said, let's go back to the coverage of Charlie Kirk. Obviously, very disturbing. Erica Kirk is in the audience. I think Charlie's parents are there. That's fine. Don Jr., we're going to go to break. We're going to take a break here in a moment if the court hasn't come back. If they come back, we will cut right out of break.
They're starting to rejoin.
Don Jr. is there. Okay, they're filing back in right now. Our own Jack Posobiec is actually in the courtroom, very restricted on what he can do. We were trying to get Jack to step out during these breaks, so that's just not possible. People are filing back in. Of course, the judge. Let's go ahead and go there speaking. I think we go to the. Let's go to the courtroom right now, live.
What, if anything else, did you do on the 10th of September 2025?
Primary focus was to identify the individual who'd been seen on the roof with the preliminary footage. And so there was a big effort to review as much of the video that we had available to us from both the public, but predominantly from Utah Valley University, in an effort to follow that individual both forward and backwards from the time of the shooting.
Okay. So if I understood you correctly, priority was to identify the shooter.
Yes.
And to that end, you started reviewing even more UVU video than you've already described?
Correct, yes.
Okay. What, if anything else, either did you do or happened initially that helped you identify who that shooter was?
So there was hundreds of hours of video that was reviewed, but the predominant focus, again, was on tracking the individual from the roof, either after the shooting had occurred or trying to trace the steps of the individual prior to the shooting.
Okay.
And we were able to do that through a combined effort of individuals. And the focus was having people reviewing video identify people who could fit the original description of the individual that jumped off the roof.
Okay. At that point, so at this point, approximately how many hours of UVU video do you think you personally had seen or watched?
Myself, maybe 10 or 20 hours of video, being called in to look at different camera angles and different views of individuals. But there was a large team of people reviewing video.
Okay. Reviewing video?
Yeah, from UVU.
Were some of them SBI agents?
Yes, correct.
And combined, how much video do you think you watched that first day on the 10th?
It would be in the tens or hundreds of hours of video was reviewed.
Okay. Did anything else come along that helped you identify who that shooter might be?
Eventually on the evening of the 11th, we received word from Washington County that an individual in that area had reached out to law enforcement and was wanting to turn themselves in for the incident at UVU.
Okay. And did you, at that point in time, did you receive a name from Washington County?
Yes, we did.
And what was that name?
Tyler Robinson.
What, if anything, did you do with that information, the name Tyler Robinson?
That information was given to our SIAC, or our State Information and Analysis Group, and they put together what would be called a workup. So they would look at driver's license records, DMV records to determine addresses, obtain pictures of individuals, and then any associated vehicles or things like that.
So was that done with Mr. Robinson?
It was, yes.
Driver's license record was pulled?
Yes.
Did that include, if you remember, or do you know, did that include a photograph of Mr. Robinson?
It did include a photograph of Mr. Robinson, yes.
How about an address and date of birth?
There was an address and a date of birth, and I believe a DMV record with an associated vehicle.
All right. And so that DMV record did include a vehicle that was associated with Mr. Robinson?
Correct.
Okay. Do you remember what the make and model of the vehicle was that was tied to Mr. Robinson?
The Dodge Challenger.
Anything else beyond that you remember?
It was silver in color, and I believe there were two registered owners of the vehicle.
Okay, and who were the registered owners?
Mr. Robinson and then his mother.
Do you recall whether or not a date of birth was included in that driver's license information that you got initially?
Yeah, I believe the actual driver's license record was shared, so it would have included a date of birth.
All right. With with Tyler Robinson's personal information, were you able to expand your search at all?
Yes, once we knew a vehicle that we were looking for and we had an actual image of the individual, then we were able to use that video footage to try and track that specific individual.
Okay, and I'm sorry, let me clarify. So when I said expand your search, I'm referencing the UVU surveillance video.
Yes, we were able to.
Okay. And were you able to identify in that expanded search, did you believe you located that Challenger?
We did, yes.
Okay. Were you able to determine at what time or times Mr. Robinson visited the UVU campus on September 10th?
Yeah, we were able to establish that Mr. Robinson had been on campus approximately 4 times throughout the day, twice before the shooting, the time of the shooting, and then after the shooting later in the evening into the early hours of the 11th.
You said that you initially tracked the shooter forward and backward. Yes. with UVU surveillance video.
Correct.
Okay. Did you do the same thing with that vehicle?
We did, yes.
Okay. Tracked it forward and backward?
Yes, using the UVU footage and additional information that was obtained, yes.
And I believe you said that in total, Mr. Robinson visited the UVU campus 4 times that day.
Yes, that's correct.
And let's just be clear, that's all based on UVU surveillance video. Is that fair to say?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. Have you reviewed what's been marked States Exhibit 12.1 for identification?
I have, yes.
Okay. And well, before we go there, of the video that you have personally watched, does the video include the 10th and the 11th, or just the 10th?
The video I've seen includes the 10th and then a very small portion, I think, about 0:30 of the 11th.
Okay. And I think you said initially you watched about 20 hours of video.
Yes.
Since that time, have you watched additional video?
Yes.
UVU surveillance video?
Yes.
Okay. And who provided the UVU surveillance video to you?
It was part of the collection of videos that was provided by Mr. Olson and his team that we already discussed previously.
Okay. Of all the hours of video that you've watched, do you have an idea of how many hours include Mr. Robinson or his vehicle?
Just with UVU or in
Just with
total?
UVU, I'm sorry.
Just with UVU would probably be about 16 hours.
And let's be clear, this is someone you believe to be Tyler Robinson.
Correct.
Okay. And this person that you've identified as Tyler Robinson, that you've been investigating and that you viewed in the numerous hours of video from UVU, would you recognize that person if he were in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Is he in the courtroom today?
He is, yes.
Would you point him out and describe something that he's wearing?
Your Honor, we object to unduly suggestive in-court identification for constitutional grounds.
Do you wish to specify an unduly constitutional? I'm trying to understand your objection, so I want to make sure I fully understand.
Your Honor, I think there's some, and I'll defer to Mr. Byrd if he wants to jump in, but I believe there's a long line of case law that says, and you ask someone to identify the defendant when they're the only person, sitting at the table with defense counsel, that's unduly suggestive and taints any future or past, definitely future identification. So we object to that happening in this fashion at this time.
Mr. Sturgill.
Well, Judge, Agent Hull has testified that he has watched numerous hours of video. Take a step back. He has looked at personal identifying information of an individual by the name of Tyler Robinson. He's looked at the driver's license record, and he's also looked at the DMV records and has been able to determine what car that person drives. He's also looked at surveillance video that he believes depicts this Tyler Robinson. And I've simply asked him if that person that he has seen, both in driver's license photos and the surveillance video, if that person is here in the courtroom today. And I don't know that that's unduly prejudicial or suggestive. It's the routine. I don't know of any other way to do it other than the way I just did it, Judge.
Well, I wanted to verify the format of the question. I remembered it in my mind, but to Ms. Nestor, was that an accurate portrayal of the question that was asked?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Sturgill, anything further before I issue my ruling?
Well, no, other than, Judge, I believe it's worth noting that Mr. Robinson is in plain clothes. Well, he's in
Counsel,
plain
please
clothes.
approach the bench. All right. Based off of what's been presented in court, I'm not finding that particular question as previously posed as suggestive. I find for the purposes of this hearing only that in-court identification by Agent Hull of Mr. Robinson has been made. Again, this only relates to the preliminary hearing, and you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Agent Hull, have you reviewed what's been marked State's Exhibit 12.1 for identification?
I have, yes.
And where did you review that video?
It was provided to me. I reviewed it on my computer in my office.
Okay. And is that the first time that you've seen this particular video footage?
This particular version of the footage, yes.
Okay. So this particular version the first time, but have you seen the video that comprises, I guess, Exhibit 12.1?
Yeah, I have seen the original videos, if that's your question, yes.
So what is State's Exhibit 12.1? How would you describe it?
I would describe it as a compilation of the video that we obtained from Utah Valley University during the course of the investigation that depicts the movements of the individual I believe to be Mr. Robinson moving around the campus on September 10th, 2025 into the morning of September 11th, 2025.
Did you prepare this video compilation?
I did not.
Okay. Do you know who did?
Yes, Utah County Attorney's Office. I believe Ms. Durfler is the one that produced the video.
Okay. Do you know Ms. Durfler's first name?
Kimberly?
Okay. What, if anything, did you do to authenticate the video in this compilation?
I reviewed the video to make sure that it was a reflection of what I understood the original videos to show.
Okay. What, if anything else, did you do?
I reviewed it. I know that there were some zooms and some changes to the footage.
Okay. Did you meet with Mr. Olson with regards to this particular video?
Yes, this video was also part of that original meeting with Mr. Olson for the prior exhibit, yes.
Okay. So at the same time, you sat down with Mr. Olson and discussed the prior exhibit. And let's just be clear which exhibit that is. So I believe the 1102 statement that you gathered from him is Exhibit 12.3, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So at the same time that you gathered that 12.3 or that written statement that is State's Exhibit 12.3, you talked to him about this specific exhibit as well?
Yes, Mr. Olson was shown this exhibit.
Okay. And did he include that in that 1102 statement?
Yeah, I believe he specifically referenced the exhibit by name, stating that it was a true reflection of the footage from the campus.
Okay. And let's just go back to what you were stating earlier. To you, it appears to be a compilation of videos that you've already seen.
Correct.
That you received as a mass dump, I guess, for lack of a better term, of UVU video. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. And the Exhibit 12.1, does it appear to be the same as the raw video that you've seen previously?
It does, yes.
Okay. Are there some minor, are there any added additions or anything different about this particular exhibit?
There are some portions of the video where a zoom is initiated, which wasn't a function of the cameras. I believe some specific individuals have been blurred from the footage. And I believe there are some red circles to show poignant information or individuals within the footage itself.
Okay. So other than the red circles, the blur, and the zoom, does it appear to accurately depict what you've seen in the raw video footage?
I believe so, yes.
On your screen, I'm going to have displayed an image. Let me know when you see it.
The image is there now. It's gone again.
Is it there?
We're back. Yep.
Okay, we're back. So do you recognize what this is?
Yeah, this is the first frame of the video compilation that we just referenced.
Okay. And again, this video portrays what you believe is Mr. Robinson visiting campus that day?
Correct.
Okay, and is it throughout the day?
It is, yes.
And then I believe you said into the early morning hours of the 11th, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Shows the state would seek or would move to admit what's been marked State's Exhibit 12.1.
Ms. Nestor?
Your Honor, we have objections to its admissibility. This is a compilation video that was put together from a bunch of different sources by the county attorney's office. This individual did not create this compilation, can't testify to the accuracy of the actual materials that it was taken from. And furthermore, Mr. Olson himself is just referred to by Agent Hall. He specifically says people have altered these recordings. They've zoomed in when the actual recording isn't zoomed. They've added little circles to people they wanted you to pay attention to. They've blurred people's faces out. So, I mean, it's been clearly altered. And it's not, I mean, they admit it's been altered. So we have real concern about authenticity of it. Furthermore, this particular video should be protected. And so that deals with the admissibility factor. As far as the publication factor of it, the video should be classified as protected under UCJA 4-202.02 subsection 5. J is in jelly bean, and then little I and little double I, because this is going to interfere with the defense's ongoing investigation, with Mr. with Mr. Robinson's ability to get a fair trial. This is basically putting together photos that are clear with photos that aren't clear, putting them all together in such a format that it makes the case that it's all one person. It would be extremely prejudicial for people that may ultimately serve on this jury to watch this video before this case goes to trial. We don't believe a proper foundation's been laid, which would make it admissible at this point. So the fact that it would be shown to the public would be extremely damaging to the ability to put on a defense at trial. And so we object to its publication both in the courtroom and to the media, Your Honor.
Mr. Sturgill.
Judge, Ms. Nestor is correct. This is a compilation of a series of videos. The videos, as Sergeant Hull has testified to, is a compilation of raw videos that he has received from Utah Valley University. And he has not only seen this video, but he has seen all the raw footage. And by his estimation, or according to his testimony, these are all videos that are accurate and they depict what the raw footage depicts, other than those minor additions. Judge, if you refer to Mr. Olson's written statement, it's Plaintiff's Exhibit 12.3. He, too, has reviewed this video, and he has also identified this video as being accurate with the exception of those additions. In his words, it's the zooms and the red highlights. They weren't part of the original recording, according to Mr. Olson. But other than that, as he states, the same as Agent Hull, these videos are accurate, and they were captured by UVU surveillance video.
Do you have a version of this video that does not have alterations, such as zooming or circling? My concern is that if the 1102 says what it says about the videos, these were the videos.
Right.
But then it was altered. And typically an exhibit which has been altered, and if it wasn't done by the person who supplied the 1102, that can become problematic. And so do you have a version of this exhibit that does not have the zooming in or the circling? Again, I don't know all the alterations that were made, but that seems to fall outside the 1102 because you don't have a person testifying 1102 saying, I made the alterations.
Right.
And so that's the concern of the state of what Ms. Nestor was talking about as it relates to the state's evidence. I have that concern about those alterations. I don't know when they were made, what they were made, how much was done to manipulate the video. And I say manipulate to not saying it in a nefarious way, but I don't know what the scope of that is and how much it deviates from what was the original form.
Well, Judge, to answer your first question, do we have a version of this particular video that has not been altered? We don't, not right now, not today. I guess there's a couple of things I'd simply like to point out, Judge, and that is that we have two witnesses who have watched the raw footage. And Agent Hull here today on the stand and Mr. Olson in the form of his written statement. They have both said that this video, with the exception of these alterations, accurately depicts the video that was captured by UVU surveillance video. Judge, I will proffer that those changes made to the video were not done by either. I know who that person is. We could actually call that person as a witness if that would cure that. And we're prepared to do that if necessary. But Judge, I think that our burden is to simply authenticate, what this is. And it is a video that, with only a few exceptions, alterations, that really don't change the substance of the video or the content of the video. They're accurate. They depict what the cameras captured on September 10th and the 11th. And we have two people who have seen that raw footage, and they've explained that's the only difference between what we have originally in the original videos and what you're seeing here today. And the additions, I will submit, Judge, were only added to make it easier to view.
All right. Anything further from the parties? No, Your Honor. All right. I'm going to go ahead and I'm sustaining the objection. Typically, when exhibits are admitted to the court, it is without alteration. If a party circles an exhibit, a photograph, that's not the original format, and I do not have the person who made the alteration, an 1102, to substantiate that. And what I have is the original video, and Mr. Olson saying, this is the video minus the alterations. And we have Agent Hull saying, this is the video and there are alterations, but I'm missing a link. And it may be minor, but in this type of case, I want to be thorough. And I want to make sure that what is minor is still important. And for those reasons, I'm going to sustain the objection and leave it to the parties on how you wish to handle the video in the future. I don't want to provide guidance either way.
Right.
But as it stands today, this exhibit, State's Exhibits 12.1 is not admitted.
Okay. Judge, could I have just one moment?
You may.
Agent Hull, you testified that there were 4 visits to campus that day.
Correct, yes.
And the first 3 visits, based on what you have observed, is your opinion that those videos were captured by UVU surveillance video? Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. The 4th visit, the 4th visit too was captured by UVU surveillance video. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Was there any other video that was collected either on the 10th or the 11th that you believe might be important or relevant to today's hearing?
There was a large amount of video.
I'm going to be a little bit more specific. Was there, other than UVU surveillance video, was there any other video that you collected and subsequently gathered an 1102 statement for?
Yes, we collected Ring doorbell footage from the surrounding neighborhoods.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Did that include video from a residence located at 680 West, 925 South Orem?
Yes, that's in the Horseshoe area. Yep.
Okay. That's in Orem
Correct.
and close to campus?
It is, yes.
Okay. And what can you tell us about that video?
It was a Ring doorbell video that was provided that showed a vehicle consistent with the one we had identified as belonging to Mr. Robinson, parking in front of the residence across the street.
Okay. And what can you tell us about the timing and the timing of that parked vehicle?
If I recall, that vehicle parked approximately 0:38 hours on the morning of the 11th.
Okay. So 0:38 hours, what time is that to regular people?
Just after midnight.
At 12:38 a.m.?
In the morning, yes.
Okay. So how did this video come to your attention that you're talking about, this doorbell or whatever?
This footage was obtained as part of the canvass of the area that was conducted as part of the investigation.
Were you able to identify the owners of that residence?
Yes.
Where that video was collected from?
Correct.
Okay. And do you know who it was collected from and by whom?
It was Mr. and Mrs. Noble. I believe Agent Davis collected the video directly from them.
Okay. And do you know what date it was collected?
If I can refresh from my notes.
If referring to your notes will refresh your memory, go ahead and look at that. Don't read it out loud.
I don't have the specific date, but I do know that myself and Agent Davis returned to the address as we had done with previous videos and had the owners of the video verify that it was from their system. And we did have them complete an 1102 statement, which would be dated.
Okay. Do you know, so let's talk about this. What does this video look like?
It's a nighttime view looking from the front porch of the residence across the street.
Okay. And what about that video? Why was this particular video significant to you, or why do you think it was related to this case?
We know from the UVU footage that the person we believe to be Mr. Robinson had an interaction with law enforcement. And a short period after that, the vehicle comes to that house. And some additional evidence that was collected from cell phone data and things indicated that Mr. Robinson was in the area, and we were able to locate the footage of his vehicle on that Ring doorbell camera.
Or at least what you believe is his vehicle.
Yeah, the vehicle we believe to belong to Mr. Robinson, yes.
And is there something about this particular video and this I guess vehicle that was captured that leads you to believe that it was Mr. Robinson's vehicle?
Yeah, the vehicle has very distinct wheels. I won't say that they're wholly unique, but in terms of the video footage that we were reviewing, the wheels on the vehicle are fairly unique and stand out on the video footage.
So again, this is video that you received early on in the investigation,
Yes.
and then in preparation for the preliminary you meet with about this video.
Met with Mrs. Noble.
And what did you do with Miss Noble?
We did what we had done before. We had a specific file that we wanted, or files that we wanted her to verify. The footage itself is broken into, I believe, 10-second segments. So we had specific files that we had her view and confirm that they were actually from her system. Those were written on the 1102 as they have been before.
Okay, and who wrote those file names on this particular statement?
I believe it would be my handwriting on the 1102.
All right. What did you do next?
We had her view the videos and then complete a statement verifying the authenticity of those videos on an 1102.
Okay. Was this also prepared on a State Bureau form?
I believe this was on a State Bureau Investigations form, yes.
And in this particular form on which Ms. Noble provided her statement, does it have the advisory that it would be used in lieu of her testimony here today?
It does, yes.
Does it also contain a warning that if she gave a false statement, she would be punished, or it's punishable by a Class A misdemeanor?
Correct.
Okay. I'm going to have displayed on your monitor what's been marked State's Exhibit number 13 for identification. Let me know when you see that, would you?
I can see that.
Okay. And I'm going to have my assistant scroll through that slowly. Okay. Do you recognize that?
I do, yes.
What is that?
The 1102 that myself and Agent Davis collected from Miss Noble.
Okay. And does it appear to be in the same condition as when you collected it?
It does, yes.
This is a copy, right?
Yes.
Okay. And the personal identifying information appears to be redacted, is that right?
It has been redacted, yes.
Okay. It wasn't redacted when you collected it, right?
No, the original form was not redacted.
So other than the redactions, it appears to be in the same condition as it was when you collected it.
That is correct.
State would move to admit Exhibit 13.
Ms. Nestor?
I know we renew our concern about unconstitutional hearsay being admitted. We also have the same concerns about the fact that the Agent Hull amended this himself, and there's no foundation as to when he filled that in, if it was before or after she signed it. And due to all those reasons, we object to its admission and object to its publication as well.
Mr. Sturgill?
Judge, again, it was collected in compliance with Rule 1102 of the Utah Rules of Evidence, specifically subsection B8. It's in writing. It's on a form. It includes both the advisory and the warning. And it was collected by Agent Hull. It's also collected in compliance and being introduced as reliable hearsay, which is lawful to do here in Utah under the state constitution, Article 1, Section 12.
Do you wish to lay more foundation about when the statement was written, whether it was before it was signed or not?
I can do that, Judge. I appreciate that, yes. Agent Hull, do you recall when you collected this written statement from Ms. Noble?
Yes, it was in April.
In April, do you know what day?
April 6th, I believe.
Okay. And you collected it, did you go to her home? I think, is that what you said?
Yes, myself and Agent Davis went to the residence.
Okay. And did you sit there while she prepared it?
I did, yes.
And did you witness her sign it?
I did, yes.
Okay. At this point, I'd move to admit Exhibit 13.
All right, and to the state representative, could you scroll down? Okay. All right, pursuant to the Utah Rule of Evidence 1102 and Article 1, Section 28, Article 1, Section 12, which allows for reliable hearsay, I'm going to move it into, it's going to be admitted into evidence over the objection of defense. I note in particular that it states that I confirm that the above files were taken from our doorbell videos and are accurate. And right before that statement is the notations that were allegedly made by Agent Hull. And so for those reasons, court finds proper foundation has been laid and that this exhibit in its entirety is admitted into evidence. As it relates to publication, I will authorize publication in the courtroom and by the media if they so wish to capture it in that form. Again, following the same format, have it on that first portion of the screen for about 10 seconds and then scroll down to the written portion for about 15 seconds and then scroll to the very bottom to ensure that the full exhibit has been displayed. All right, that concludes the publication of State's Exhibit 13.
Okay. Thank you, Judge. The video that you took with you that day when you visited with Noble or Miss Noble, had you previously? Well, you've stated that the videos that you showed the Nobles were actually more than one video.
Correct.
Okay, and I believe you said they were like 10-second clips.
If I recall correctly.
Short
yes.
clips. Okay. And you showed Miss Noble all of those videos that are identified in that statement.
The one shown on the statement was shown to Ms. Noble, yes.
Okay. Have you had a chance to review what's been marked State's Exhibit number 12.2?
Yes.
Okay. And when did you have a chance to review that exhibit?
I believe that was reviewed last week, I believe.
Okay.
With yourself.
Okay. And does that video, is it a single video that you watched?
No, I believe it's 4 separate short videos.
Okay. And as far as, and I understand that, but as far as 12.2 is concerned, what does that exhibit consist of?
It shows the vehicle believed to be driven by Mr. Robinson arriving in front of the residence, an individual exiting the vehicle and moving away from it, followed by an individual returning to the vehicle and unlocking it, and then it shows the vehicle a short time later starting and leaving the area.
And those are the videos that you showed Miss Noble?
Yes.
Okay. What I have displayed on your monitor was been marked Plaintiff's or State's Exhibit 12.2 for identification. Let me know as soon as you see, should be a still image.
It's there.
Do you recognize what's depicted there?
Yeah, this is the view looking what would essentially be west across the street from the Noble's residence.
Okay. At 12:38 a.m., I guess, or 0:38?
Yes.
Okay. And what is depicted in this? I think you've already described that. So, Judge, I would move to admit Exhibit 12.2.
Ms. Nestor.
Your Honor, we renew our objection to allowing in the evidence without the sponsoring witness. I do have some concerns because I'm not totally sure if this is a compilation or if this is just one of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 6 videos they took from the Nobles. So if we could have that clarification, I think that concerns me about authenticity, that I don't understand if this is just a portion or if this is the whole thing or is this is all of them or none of them. And for those reasons, we object to the admission and to publication.
Thank you. Mr. Sturgill.
That's a good point. And I'll ask additional questions before I re-seek to admit it. Agent Hull, this particular video, you've described taking several videos to Ms. Noble and having her review them.
Yes.
Okay. This particular exhibit, 12.2, have you watched it in its entirety?
Yes.
Does it consist of either some or all of those videos that you showed Ms. Noble?
It does, yes.
Okay. And is it a single video? Is it a compilation, that is to say, or is it 4 different videos?
It would
Or a number of different videos?
be a number of short videos sequenced.
Okay. A number of short videos in sequence?
I believe that's how this one plays, yes.
Okay. Just again, I seek to admit it.
Anything further from the parties? All right. Given my previous rulings on exhibits, I applied the same analysis and find that State's Exhibit 12.2, I believe, is admitted over the objection and may be published in the courtroom and by the media, if so chosen.
Okay, so before we play this video, again, what is it that leads you to believe that this is Mr. Robinson's vehicle?
The shape of the vehicle can be clearly seen as it pulls up, and the distinctive wheels on the vehicle also.
And well, let's go ahead and play it.
Is there any sound associated with this?
There is, Judge, but it's night sounds. It's crickets chirping and.
Okay, I just wanted to
there's-
see if
what's
there
that?
was. I just wanted to see if
There's
there
nothing
was sound or
violent.
not. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You may play the video.
So in the first part of that video, what do you see?
The vehicle we believe to be driven by Mr. Robinson pulling up and parking in front of across the street, but in front of the residence.
Okay. And then in the next video, what do you believe is displayed in that video?
There's an individual who gets out of the vehicle. You can hear the door close, and then that individual moves away from the front of the vehicle. There's actually 2 reflective panels on a dumpster, and you can see the individual past those reflective panels.
And in the last of those series of videos?
The second to last one, the individual comes back across those reflective panels to the vehicle, unlocks the vehicle and gets into it. And then in the last video, the vehicle is started and the individual drives away.
Just one moment, Judge.
Yes.
Judge, could we approach?
You may.
All right, everybody, welcome into this very special edition of Just the News, No Noise. As you are watching, this is the trial of Tyler Robinson. The judge is set to determine whether the full trial is going to move forward based on the evidence for alleged Charlie Kirk assassin Tyler Robinson. So joining us now to break all of this down and everything that has happened thus far is former prosecutor and career trial attorney Wendy Patrick. Wendy, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
This might be a very brief convo because the counsel has approached the bench and they might go back to the proceedings. But what have been some of the biggest takeaways for you today so far?
One of the biggest takeaways is the record that this group is making. And I say group because I mean both the prosecution, the defense, and the judge. This is one of those cases where you do not want anything going wrong because you're preserving this transcript for potential appeal. And that's really one of the things they're focused on, including this hearing they're having right now.
So it seems to me that, you know, as a layperson, they're going through the evidence, trying to figure out what can be admitted. Is there anything that stands out to you as, oh, my goodness, this could be the nail in the coffin for Tyler Robinson, or the other side of that?
Yes, that's a great question, because one of the things that makes a huge impact is the actual footage of the assassination. I mean, that has to be one of the most damning pieces of evidence in any type of a trial like this. And unfortunately, for those of us that saw it, it is absolutely triggering. So that's the kind of evidence that's explosive in nature. So you bet the defense is going to do everything they can to make a record that indicates they've done what they can to keep it out. On the other hand, that's a big piece of evidence for the prosecution. And while they're justifiably also concerned about the re-traumatizing effect of it, it's a big part of the case. So this is the fine line both sides are watching when it comes to what is the most important pieces of evidence to litigate. So that is one of the reasons why we're seeing so much about that here. Authentication, I have to say, is another big deal at the preliminary hearing, because although you don't carry the same standard of proof, I mean, the judge just has to find probable cause to move the case forward till trial, you also want to make sure that all the evidence is reliable. So you have authentication, admissibility, publication, relevancy, reliability, all of those things that are important at a trial are to some extent also important at a prelim. And one more thing I'll add, because I used to be a defense attorney before I was a prosecutor, the defense is testing the waters to see how much of what type of evidence the judge is going to admit, because that's going to inform their trial strategy. They don't have to show their hand at a prelim. Prosecution has to show a lot more evidence. The defense doesn't have to show any, but they do have an opportunity to test some of these objections here, as you see that they're doing.
Do you see thus far, because you hear in courtroom terms all the time about preponderance of evidence, have we reached that point yet?
Well, it's even less than that at a prelim. It's a slight suspicion. They call it different things in different jurisdictions. But probable cause basically means there has to be enough evidence to proceed to trial. Now, we have enough evidence in the court of public opinion, and given that most of that will be recreated here, you are going to meet that quantum of evidence. But even though everyone knows that's where we're headed, it still has to be done on the record. And that is one of the reasons we have so many questions asked. A big foundation is being laid. Any non-legal observers would be saying, why are we going into all of this? It's just a probable cause hearing. But there's no room for mistakes in a case this high profile and with all the different types of evidence. And as you're seeing, given the judge actually just sustaining one of the defense objections, we can't take anything for granted. And that's why, even though you only need that small quantum of evidence, they're going over and above, crossing the T's and dotting the I's to make sure no mistakes are made.
Yeah, I mean, I think of all of the high-profile trials out there where there have been just procedural errors, things that, you know, not even intentionally tainted the case, but ultimately ended up having the case or not. I mean, we're looking at Harvey Weinstein. I'm trying to think of the Nexium guy. But over and over and over again, you see this. So I absolutely hear what you're saying, because I shudder to think that for Charlie Kirk's millions and millions of fans and people who, by the way, since his death have become supporters of his because they had one view of him. And then when he died, they watched clips and they actually informed themselves. But for those people, I shudder to think what would happen if something went haywire in this case and it got thrown out.
And let me add to that. That was excellent. I agree with everything you just said. And in addition to all of that, think about the high profile this case has in terms of who's currently in the courtroom. Can you imagine Erica Kirk, Charlie's parents, all having to sit through a second trial because something went wrong? So there's a lot riding on this going right.
Absolutely. And it's been heartbreaking. And I think that for a lot of people, but also women out there observing what Erica Kirk is going through, what she went through, what she continues to get dragged through. There's definitely that heartstring element to this, which I understand in a court of law that is not something that hinges a case of whether it goes forward or whether it doesn't in the case of today's proceedings. But I want to, control room, do we have those clips that you guys had initially? Can we show those? Okay, awesome. All right, so for those of you who haven't been tuning into this trial, because it has been on all day and we're going to be watching it and following it as it goes on throughout the week, but Officer Bagley at one point says that he actually saw the markings of someone in a prone position, a shooting ready position on the rooftop where Charlie was allegedly shot from. Check this out.
I'm on top of the Losi building, which is where the gravel is towards the bottom center. I'm looking west towards the tent, which is in the upper center, that you got a white tent. You can see the grass down there in the amphitheater. You got the Hall of Flags that's more towards the top center, and behind that you've got I-15. But what I'm looking at is in the disturbance of the gravel is what I saw that day.
Okay, and what can you describe for the record that disturbance?
To me, when I got up there and I could see this disturbance in gravel, to me, it looks like a sniper pad, a person that has been laying in a prone position, and you've got markings of elbows, knees, and feet to where somebody was in the line of sight of where Charlie's tent was.
And for our audience, just FYI, the reason we haven't gone back into that courtroom is because the counsels approached the bench and had a conversation, and then it appears that they went on break. So as soon as they come back from that break, we will dip straight back in. But I want to ask you, it's not supposed to matter what the emotions are surrounding this. But I can't help but think that, unless you are just a stone cold, concrete hearted person, it's got to play into this at some point, even if you don't want to admit it.
It's true. And here's what's interesting about that point. It is definitely always a jury instruction that they have to make their decision without passion or prejudice. You can't let your emotions at all color your view of the evidence. You would be amazed how seriously jurors take that admonition. I've been trying cases for 30 years, and they will always admit afterwards that, there was a big disagreement in the jury room, because if there's any indication somebody's using emotion instead of fact, they'll make sure they go overboard to prevent that. We're all human beings, and it's even tough for the bystanders in the courtroom to sit through some of this testimony. And if anybody has to walk out in tears, I know Erica Kirk already left at least once today, the jurors have to also make sure they don't let that emotion color their judgment. So it's something they take seriously. I'm optimistic. I believe that, especially working as a group, most of the time they're able to do it.
Yeah. Wendy, is there a larger picture in all of this that, again, I know, just like the emotion thing, I know it's not supposed to be in their mind, but there, to me, is an overarching principle here, and it's that political disagreements and grievances should not be solved, I suppose, with violence, because you look at a case like this and what it says to the American people about the left and the right and the way that each side handles disagreements compared to the other. And I have to think that in this day and age, when we see people constantly trying to kill the president of the United States, shooting up congressional baseball games, shooting up ICE facilities, time after time after time, you see this happening. It's frankly, just as an observer, it's coming from one side going towards the other. But there's got to be a piece of this. There's got to be a layer on top of all of this that's informed by the news that we continue hearing, which is that one side carries out violence to try to silence the other.
And that partisan viewpoint is also something that jurors will be screened for before they're ever allowed to sit on the case. Because simply by admitting what side you're on, you're also admitting ideology much of the time, not all of the time. But that is something both sides are going to have an opportunity to explore. And by the way, that is such an important point. It was actually one of the rationales the judge used in letting the media have access to the proceedings we're watching in real time. The defense didn't want cameras in the courtroom. They didn't want anything live streamed. The judge reminded everyone that we can investigate partisan politics, judicial overview, viewpoints that potential jurors might have, and then how to contain those before a jury is selected. Because what you exactly said, it does seem to be one-sided if you look at this administration. they're going to worry that that's going to color the judgment. And you're going to have jurors sitting there that are going to be deciding the case based on something other than the testimony and the evidence provided in the courtroom. That is the litmus test. No matter who they are, what emotions they feel, what politics they hold, they can only judge Tyler Robinson based on what comes off the witness stand and what's presented as evidence.
Yeah. Wendy Patrick, thank you so much for this analysis. And this is going to be ongoing throughout the week unless it ends in the next few days. So we will definitely have to get you back on to break it all down for us. Wendy, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right, everybody, we're going to have more from the Tyler Robinson hearing on the other side of this break, so don't go anywhere.
The promise of this country has been the freedom to build something of your own. And for millions of families, that dream begins with owning a home. Built in a blink of an eye, that American dream can turn into a nightmare. With just some public information and a forged signature, criminals can legally transfer your home ownership into their name. You won't find out about it until you start getting foreclosure notices and they show up in the mail. Getting it back, it could be months, even years. Thousands in legal fees just to reclaim what's already yours. That's why we trust the experts at Home Title Lock. With 24/7 title monitoring, urgent alerts, and a 100% fraud restoration success rate, they fight for property owners and their loved ones against this growing crime. And to celebrate America's 250th birthday, they're giving us all 25% off for up to 2 years in title fraud protection, plus a free title history report to ensure you're not already a victim. Use my promo code JTN25 at HometitleLock.com and get protected today. That's HometitleLock.com, promo code JTN25.
Welcome back, everybody. That hearing is set to return in just a few moments. But in the meantime, I want to squeeze in a few more questions with Wendy Patrick, our guest right now. She's former prosecutor and career trial attorney and has a great perspective on all of this. Wendy, I want to ask you about the timeline. As I was just telling my audience, we're going to be carrying this through the end of it today, which I think is supposed to end in about 30 minutes. But it is scheduled to go on throughout the week. Is this the type of thing, the pace that you are seeing today, is that an indication that it will take the whole week? Or do you think that everything will be presented and the hearing will wrap up sooner than that?
You know, it's a great question. Judges always ask that question. Counsel, are we really looking at 5 days, or are you going to get everything done in 3? Had you asked me that question 4 hours ago, I would say, let's block out next week too. But then we really did seem to pick up the pace, and that's as it should be, because the defense is getting some idea as to what kind of objections are going to be overruled, what are going to be sustained. They're lodging what we call standing objections to certain types of evidence, which means they don't have to keep reciting them again and again. That's going to cut down on the anticipated amount of time. And there also is an element of the judge at some point will know for a fact he has enough evidence. And it'll be interesting to see if he behaves as many of his peers do and begins to signal to the parties that he's heard enough and there is plenty to go to trial. Now, the key for the defense when we get to that point is they have to make sure they've made all the right objections to try to keep out all of the evidence they're going to argue makes sense not to move forward. The prosecutor has to do the same thing, except they always go much further than the defense in putting in as much evidence they need and then some in a case of this magnitude. So having said all that, I think we're definitely going to be done this week, possibly before Friday.
All right, I want to ask you to give a performance review thus far of each side, the counsel on each side. Does it seem to you, and do they have a reputation? Is there reputational information that you can give us about each of these sides that tells us, hey, these people are the top of their game, it's going to be a dogfight till the end, or maybe not?
Uh-huh. Well, because I don't practice in that jurisdiction, I would say I have an even more objective assessment of their performance in the courtroom today. You know, one of the things I would say characterizes this hearing so far is civility. You have both sides standing up, you know, making their objections. They don't raise their voice. Their demeanor is right. Now, and I don't think it's simply because there are television cameras, because what happens is we tend to forget about the cameras when passions sort of take over objectivity. Right. I haven't seen this today. They are being very polite to one another. The judge is very polite. They're even keeled. Their tone is adequate. there is no reason for them to go over the top at a prelim. There's no jury there to rate them. I think they're doing very well. And I think that objective analysis, if it carries through to trial, is going to result with the judge at the end saying it's been a pleasure to work with all of you. The judge also does not seem to be treating either party as if there's some foreknowledge that there's a problem attorney in the bank. Now, maybe there's a Utah lawyer that's going to come in and prove me wrong. But I can tell you what I'm seeing is what the jury is going to see. Because you remember, one of the other questions they're asked at the beginning of voir dire is, do you know the parties or any of the attorneys? So there'll be an opportunity to vet that as well. But so far, so good.
Okay, Wendy, let me ask you this, because there have been trials out there where there is just absolutely brutal and grotesque video and photos and things like that. And this one, there was a shocking element to the video that we saw of Charlie Kirk. I remember that day vividly. I mean, it was almost a surreal day in our newsroom. We're all, shouting at each other from across the newsroom, trying to get the latest information, trying to verify it with 2 or 3 sources before we put anything out there. But one thing we knew was that we saw that video and we saw something extremely shocking and frankly evil happen before our eyes. Does that play into this? Is this the type of situation where that gets played in the courtroom over and over and over again, so that makes an impression in those jurors' brains?
It won't be played over and over again. It's another great point you make. A judge won't allow that, but it's going to be just as triggering, just as traumatic, and just as surreal as it was for all of us when we first saw it. And I'll add, not only is it re-traumatizing for everybody in the courtroom, but remember that assassination really had a worldwide reverberation. There were people that weren't even Christians that were coming up to me. One of the other hats I wear is as a Christian minister, and basically admitting they felt like they'd lost a family member and they weren't yet even people of faith. So understanding the Charlie Kirk effect, no judge is going to allow it to be played over and over again. And honestly, it seems like once is all you need with footage that shocking. And it's one of those pieces of video where it's not that it's so graphic in terms of blood and gore. It is just so shocking in terms of the way it happened. Surreal is a great word to use. I think we all felt that way, but I believe the jury will be able to see it.
Yeah, and there was this other aspect of it because, so often the left tries to argue on one side of a debate issue, and they say, well, you guys just need to come at us with facts. You need to come at us civilly. You need to come at us, in a calm manner. There wasn't anyone out there on the conservative side who came out with more facts, with more civility, and with more calmness than Charlie Kirk. So if they're willing to kill Charlie Kirk to silence him, my goodness, the rest of us, especially hotheads like me, we're screwed when it comes to their opinion of us.
We are hopeful that cooler heads prevail on both sides. There are plenty of people on the left that absolutely decry acts of violence like this, or any kind of violence, or any type of egging anybody on towards violence. But you are correct. It's a vocal minority, and it's a small sliver that really is the problem here. And this is what this trial is about as well. It's not just about an assassination. It's also about the larger political issues that you describe, which is another reason we're going to see a long preliminary examination, is that everyone understands what's riding on this. So I have to say, I hope it's a wake-up call, as remember the baseball game? That was a wake-up call for both sides for a while. This will be another wake-up call that reminds everyone that political violence is never the issue. And that's a bipartisan statement that both sides of the aisle can get behind.
Absolutely. Wendy Patrick, always appreciate your analysis. We're going to dip back into the courtroom, and hopefully we'll have you on later on in the week to re-up on that wisdom. All right, everybody, here we are.
Sorted out these few questions. We're all in agreement that we want to break for the day. Is that right, Ms. Nestor? Well, sure.
You may proceed with your questions, and we'll take it from there.
All right. Agent Hull, I asked you earlier, after you had testified about all the video that you've watched, and video that you believe depicts Mr. Robinson from the UVU surveillance, and that combined with the driver's license and the DMV records, whether or not you believe that person that you have seen in the video and on the driver's license record is in the courtroom today. And I believe your answer was yes.
Yes, that's correct.
And then I asked you if you wouldn't mind pointing him out and describing something that he's wearing. And I don't believe that I allowed you to do that.
Okay.
Would you do that right now?
Your Honor, just for the record, we would impose an objection based on the 14th Amendment for due process due to an unduly suggestive in-court ID. Also, we believe there's a lack of foundation establishing his ability to interpret the surveillance video. And based on that, we would object.
All right. I note that, well, to the state, do you wish to be heard on what was just stated?
Well, Judge, I think we had this discussion, and I think you ruled on that specific objection. And then after you ruled, I just neglected to come back and follow through with the question and the answer. That's my recollection of the bench meeting.
All right. I believe I stated for the purposes of this hearing that identification by Agent Hull of Mr. Robinson was made. I could be wrong, but...
Well, and I just wanted to clarify that, Judge, because there was some question about whether that in fact did happen. And so if that's your recollection of what happened, and if you're willing to put on the record that Agent Holt has identified the defendant, I think we're done.
Does the defense want to be heard?
Just a moment, Your Honor.
Of course.
No, Your Honor.
Well, if for the benefit of the record and for thoroughness, if you wish to re-ask that question, you certainly, well, we can see what happens.
If I could, Judge, I'd like to. Would you please point him out and identify something that he is wearing?
Yeah, I believe that Mr. Robinson is between Miss Nestor and other counsel wearing a grey suit, jacket with a dark tie, and a light-colored shirt.
Judge, I would ask that the record reflect that Agent Hull has identified the defendant.
I have no I mean, I made my objection already.
Okay, I just wanted to check.
No, thank you, Your
All
Honor.
right. For the purposes of this hearing, I find that Agent Hull has identified Mr. Robinson. Again, this is only for the preliminary hearing. You may proceed.
Judge, I think for today, with Agent Hull, we're done for today. We'd ask that at this point we take a break until tomorrow.
All right. So, are you saying that you're going to recall Agent? Well, we're going to resume with Mr. Hall tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning, and let me explain and I was going to explain this, but let me explain why. Judge, our intent is to prepare an original version of the video that has been in dispute today, without the circles, without the blur, and without the zooming in. And our intent is to introduce that tomorrow as a different exhibit. And we just can't prepare that in the next hour or so. So we're going to need this evening to prepare that exhibit. And we'd like to return with that. Judge, what I would also suggest, well, let me get your take on that, Judge.
All right. Does the defense wish to be heard about ending for the day? We have about 19 minutes until 5 o'clock. What is the defense?
Your Honor, we're happy to accommodate the state on that.
All right. So for today, Agent Hull, you may step down, and we'll resume with your testimony tomorrow morning. Anything further, Mr. Sturgill?
Well, Judge, just one other thing, and it's a suggestion.
Agent Hull, can you wait just 1 second? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sure Ms. Nestor may have a position with regards to this, but Judge, we would invite you to review the exhibit that we've been talking about today. It is 12.1. We suggest that you look at it between today and tomorrow, because our intent is to seek to admit the version where it doesn't have the circle or the blur or the zoom in, and if that is admitted, we do intend to introduce that Exhibit 12.1 as well. And I think it would be helpful if you saw that in advance, and you could compare that to the version that doesn't have the circle, the blur, and the zooming in. I would ask that you do that. I don't know if Ms. Nestor has a different opinion about that, but I think it would be helpful in determining whether or not that particular exhibit, 12.1, is admissible.
Ms. Nestor.
I don't have anything to add to that. I defer to what the court prefers to do on that. I do have another matter before Agent Hull is released that I do want to address with the court, but I don't have any concern if the court wants to look at it in advance. It's kind of a little bit of a long video. I think it's just about 5 minutes, maybe. It's not very long. So if you want to wait until tomorrow, it's not going to slow the matter down very much, but it's up to the court on that.
All right, I appreciate the parties. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wait until it's properly before me and a motion has been made for either of the videos, and then I'm happy to entertain the motion to review both of them, or however the parties. I don't want to issue a pre-ruling, so I'll wait till it's properly before me, and I can take it from there. Being that it's about 5 minutes, I'm not too concerned about how much time is needed. I also want to be thorough, so I'll wait till it's brought before me and we can address it from there. And turning to Ms. Nestor as it relates to your request.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, I recognize that Agent Hull is the case agent and is working with the state in preparing for this, but he is still on the stand, and I would ask that he be instructed that he can't discuss his testimony, even though he's the case agent. I don't think it's proper for him to discuss his testimony while he's excused for the night.
Mr. Sturgill. All right, so Agent, from this moment on until we come back in court, you're instructed not to discuss your testimony with anyone, as you are still on the stand for all intents and purposes. And we'll, if the state recalls you this tomorrow morning, then we'll proceed. Okay?
Okay, Your Honor.
All right, may this witness be excused.
For now, Your Honor.
For today. All right, thank you, Agent Hall. Anything further from the parties, or do either party need the benefit of the record before we adjourn?
No, Your Honor.
Not from the state, Judge.
All right, noting neither party wishes the benefit of the record, court is in recess until 9 a.m. tomorrow morning.
All right, everybody. So at 9 a.m. tomorrow, we are going to pick back up the coverage inside that courtroom. But for now, I want to bring back on Wendy Patrick. Wendy, Tyler Robinson has been charged with aggravated murder. That is a capital offense. I do believe prosecutors are seeking the death penalty. As you see the evidence thus far today, obviously we have many more days of this. What do you anticipate will come of their seeking of the death penalty? Do you think we'll reach that?
Yes, because, they don't charge it unless they believe they can prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. And that's not even the standard at a preliminary hearing. So, part of a preliminary hearing is, to basically put on all the evidence that's already in the court of public opinion, make it official, have a judge rule on it. It's also an opportunity to test the value of certain pieces of evidence. It's one thing to say, oh, we have camera footage, video footage that captured the incident. We have a sniper pad. We saw somebody in a sniper stance. It's quite another thing to prove it was the man that you have in court. And you saw that dynamic illustrated when there was even an objection made to identifying the defendant in the courtroom. So if you think about all of the ways in which the defense is making a case for appeal, you have to think about all those procedural hurdles about admitting what might seem like obviously incriminating evidence actually into the record if there's any grounds not to admit it, or not to admit it yet until a proper foundation is laid. It is true you don't need to lay as much of a foundation at prelim as you do at trial, but you still have to pass the relevancy authentication. Not the same hearsay objections are going to fly at a prelim, but you still have to present a reliable amount of double hearsay or triple hearsay, whatever it is, to make sure that a judge has enough to work with. So to that extent, yes, also with respect to what qualifies this fact pattern for the death penalty will have to be presented. They're well on their way.
Okay, Wendy, before I let you go, I want to ask you one more thing, because back in December at a hearing then, he reportedly laughed. This happened again today. Erica Kirk left the courtroom. those types of antics, him chuckling with his attorney, does that have any bearing on anything that happens?
It shouldn't, but it does. Absolutely. It has bearing on the judge. Nobody likes to see that. The defense doesn't like to see that. Here's where it gets really dangerous. If the jury sees that, there'll probably be a request to have the judge admonish the jury they're not to take anything the defendant does or says at the witness table, at the defendant's table as evidence. But that may be just drawing attention to the problem. So there will be an extended sidebar or a conference if that happens in front of a jury. And if it's happening now, the question would be, is this defendant going to be able to clean up his conduct and sort of keep control of his emotions when the jury's in the courtroom? With a trial that's going to last as long as this one, that'll be a challenge.
Well, and my question, too, is where are his attorneys on this? Shouldn't they be keeping him reined in, including his chuckling?
I'm sure they are doing their best. Again, having been a criminal defense attorney earlier in my career, you do everything you could possibly do. You remind your client as much as you possibly can. Things come out on the witness stand that are sometimes unexpected, they're awkward, they're triggering. Whatever ends up happening, sometimes the defendant inadvertently sort of transmits emotion from counsel table. In fact, it's more often the rule than the exception that you have a defendant either emoting something, writing something, appearing to laugh, that they end up not being able to control. But a jury sees it. And yes, jurors hold that against criminal defendants. They have to do everything they can in the deliberation room to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, like the emotions that we were talking about earlier, in a perfect world, you would be able to wipe a jurist's mind from something that they saw or heard, but we're human, and that stuff just sticks in there, especially if you see something as appalling as a defendant laughing at the misery and the grief and the horror of what Erica Kirk and the children and everyone else has gone through because of what happened. Whitney Patrick, thanks so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right, everybody, we're going to take a very quick break, but we're going to have much more for you on the other side.
Family, it's time to make history. Just in time for our nation's historic 250th anniversary, Ram artist Natasha Owens is dropping the ultimate patriotic anthem. We need your help to take it straight to the top. Scan the QR code on your screen right now or search America 250 on iTunes to download it today. Let's stand together, rally the family, and make this the #1 song in the nation.
Absolutely the definition of an anthem. You just heard part of the new song, America 250. Let's welcome singer-songwriter Natasha Owens to tell us more about it. Natasha, welcome and congratulations on such an amazing, amazing song.
Oh, thank you so much.
I love the melody. Like I said, it is like an anthem. It's the type of thing that I want to play on my radio as loud as it will possibly go. How long did you work on this? Because obviously we all had a lot of fair warning that America 250 was coming up, but is this something you've been preparing for a while?
We have. We probably recorded it 6 months ago. It took us two to 4 weeks to do. A little longer than the norm, just because how do you put 250 years of greatness into one song? It was a little intimidating. Mm-hmm. I wanted it to be an anthem. I wanted it to live in history. And I wanted it to kind of do America justice, right? And so in the bridge, we put an old America the Beautiful in it because I thought we needed to be a little bit nostalgic with it. So I'm hoping that people are liking it. The feedback that I am getting is that it's bringing people to tears and it's stirring their hearts. And that's exactly what I wanted to do with it.
Absolutely. And, someone brought this up over the weekend. What's amazing to me and what is, I think, uniquely and innately American. We don't consider Independence Day the day that we officially won our independence, when that treaty was signed. It's the day that we declared it. That, to me, says something about America. The fact that we said this is the day we declared war, and we will finish it. We don't know what's going to happen between now and then, but we will finish it.
You know, it's pretty amazing. I read something the other day that July the 2nd was going to be the day of the Declaration, and it ended up being the 4th, which I never knew. And I also did not know that John Adams and Thomas Jefferson, exactly 50 years later on July 4th, passed away. I thought that was a kind of a cool fact.
And they did not like each other, and they both had some interesting words for each other upon their passing, not knowing that they were going to be joined in history together with their death dates on the exact same date. I love this song because it brings together faith, gratitude for our country, of course, patriotism, perseverance, all of these different themes. Are there any that stand out to you, or is it most important that all of these things shine through in the lyrics and the melody in the music video as well?
You know, all of those things, I pray, shine through in every one of my songs. And I know sometimes it's a little hard when I do a TDS song or something that's more satire. But with this, I want them to feel God, and I want them to see my faith. And I want the veterans who are watching this to realize through my words and through my voice that I am so thankful for freedom. And it's something that is not free. It's the thing that we should never give away, right? It's the most expensive thing that we own. And so I wanted to give back with this song. We're giving back to an organization that is helping veterans with substance abuse, with depression, with mental health, and with homelessness. And my grandfather was a veteran from World War II and ended up being a homeless vet. And I just want to give back. It's our time to step up for these people who have absolutely given everything for us.
Yeah, Natasha, you are so unbelievably talented. And we appreciate you being with us. Everybody, please go check out this song. It's the America 250 music video is going to premiere Friday at 10 a.m., of course, on the RAV YouTube channel. But Natasha Owens, absolutely amazing. Congratulations on the new song, and thanks for being with us tonight.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And viewers, you can go to download the song America 250 on iTunes. We really want to help Natasha Owens climb the charts and get up there so that all of those other artists who are seeing their names at the top of the charts, they see Natasha Owens' name as well. I just have to tell you, I've been staying at a hotel the last week because I have family in town. And I met a couple yesterday morning. The wife is from Connecticut. The husband is from California. And both of them staunch lovers of this country, staunch Trump supporters, and this is from two very blue states. I thought it was incredible to see that. People, be courageous, be bold, and be unique in your own area. All right, everybody, that's all we have for tonight, but we're going to be back here tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern.